Hi, this is Dr. Martin's Supplemental Lecture Part 3 on stems. I'm going to talk about the structure of stems, focusing primarily on a group of plants that we call eudicots or simply dicots. And those are the trees and herbaceous plants that you're familiar with, aside from the grasses and the grains. Okay, so this is a cross-section of a stem, and there's various structures located here. We're going to start from the perimeter and work our way in. There is a layer of cells on the perimeter of the stem, and as you might guess, this is called the epidermis. Inside of that, let's see, pretty much right in here, all the way around, is an area that's called the cortex. Between the cortex and the center of the stem, there are bundles of vascular tissue, and these bundles are called vascular bundles. The very center of the stem is composed of tissue or cells, an area that we call the pith. These are very, usually parenchyma cells, very flexible, thin-walled, thin cell-walled, and so on. All right, so we have the epidermis, the cortex, the vascular bundles, and the pith. Let's take a look at a little closer look at the vascular bundles. And let me erase the bottom part of this. And we'll enlarge a vascular bundle. Okay, facing the center part of the stem are usually a large diameter cells that make up the xylem. So those are water conducting cells. In the vascular bundle, in a portion of the bundle that actually faces toward the outer part of the stem, are smaller cells that make up the phloem tissue. So these are cells that are going to transport sugars. Now, between the two, it actually extends all the way around here. I'm going to draw it in green, is a very thin layer of cells that is called the Vascular Cambium. And these are cells that are able to divide and give rise to xylem and phloem. All right, so the initial stem of a eudicot is going to have xylem and phloem in vascular bundles, and that xylem and phloem is referred to as primary xylem and primary phloem. And it's referred to as primary because it is the first group of vascular tissue during the first season, where we, at this point, do not have any wood formation or what we would call secondary growth taking place. All right, let's take a look at a section of a tree, for example, or something that has shown growth outward, what we call secondary growth. And I'm going to maybe do a little bit of a cutout here. You can see rings of growth. We usually see some what we call rays of cells that kind of work their way outward. And right in here is where we're going to, so this is the bark on the surface, and underneath that is a layer of tissue that we call cambium. Oh, actually, yeah. No, I'm sorry, I missed. Gotta put another layer in here first. We're gonna put phloem. And then, right in here is cambium tissue. Okay, what we have here are layers of xylem that's been produced during each growing season. And typically you can distinguish the rings because the initial cells that are formed that are toward the center tend to be, they're a little bit bigger, they're lighter in color. And then toward the end of the growing period, the cells, well, this area looks darker, right in here, and then it becomes light again. So that's how you can distinguish one ring from another. And it is the vascular cambium here that's producing those xylem cells. When you look at a tree, if you look at the bark, and if you take a knife and start cutting away at the tissue, you don't have to go very far to actually get to the phloem tissue. And this is very important tissue. This is going to conduct sugars from the leaves down to the roots and so on. And you can sometimes kill a tree by destroying this tissue all the way around the trunk of the tree. We had a really nice black cherry, I think, when we had property in Arkansas, and somebody used the tree to winch some cells out of a rut, I believe, not without our permission. And the winch, as they tightened around the tree, actually destroyed most of the phloem, but there was one little section that was still living, and actually the tree did survive, but typically if that entire ring had been destroyed, the tree would have died. Okay, that's the end of this supplemental lecture on secondary growth in stems and cross-section of a eudicote.